Alright, before I get into the video, I want to say a few things. Thank you viewer for taking the time to look at my video, it means a lot. Also make sure to subscribe if you are new here. Entitled Stepdad Doesn't Know How Borrowing Works. Hello. This may be long and ramble why. I'm on mobile, please forgive my errors, etc., etc. Backstory, I was 15 when my half-sister was born. I was a little older than 16 when my mom had 2 more kids with my stepdad. So this story is several years old. It's paraphrased as well as I can remember it. Cast, me/Bunny, op. ESF, entitled Stepfather. M, my mom. I was around 17 years old when we moved back into the house after some major renovations. I had essentially moved back into a room that I had spent about a year out of. I remember as I was moving back in, my ESF grabs my arm and drags me into the living room to talk. ESF, listen, I need to know if you want internet or TV before we move all your shit back in. Me, I had both before. Why can't I have both now? ESF, it doesn't matter. Now pick. Do you want TV service or internet service? So, because I was vastly more into internet than TV, I chose to have internet service in my room. He tries telling me some garbage that the wiring going into my room could only work for TV service or internet service. But then he puts up Wi-Fi and tells me to connect to that. I learn a bit later, that what he had actually done was remove the TV service cabling that goes into my room by cutting it himself. I don't know why. A couple of months after moving in, I catch ESF looking into my room and staring at my TV. Granted, it looks like a big TV because it was on a small table. But it was maybe only 22 in wide and maybe 12 in long. I'm probably remembering the size wrong. But it was essentially just a bit bigger than a computer monitor. Now, I'm already greatly annoyed. This is before I started locking my door so people stopped randomly opening my door. But he still had to open it without saying anything to me. And he was just standing in the doorway, still without saying anything to me. Eventually, I take off my headphones and clear my throat. That seemed to snap him whatever trance my TV had him in. My desk is beside the door, while my TV faces the door on the opposite wall. Me, can I help you? I'm also used to him just throwing all kinds of crap at me for me to do. So I'm getting annoyed at the idea of having a long list of shit to do. ESF, what are you doing with your TV now? Me, what? ESF, you have your consoles in the den with the other TV. You play your games there with your friends. Why do you still have a TV in here? Me, because it's mine? My mom gave it to me long before we came here. I still have some older consoles plugged into it. ESF, you know, your sister could really use it if you're not using it. Now, I have 2 sisters. The older one of the 2 is basically the golden child. To this day, she's still really entitled. But she's like 2 at this point. He wants to give a toddler my TV. Me, what? No. What is a 2-year-old going to do with my TV? ESF, angrily, which in his case means yelling I was going to put it on a shelf. She couldn't hurt herself with it then. Besides, I'm getting sick of the baby TV shows on the living room TV. My mom and ESF would constantly play kid TV shows on the big TV in the living room. It had surround sound. You couldn't escape it. It played as soon as the kids woke up. To well after they were asleep. ESF used to complain all the time how high the electricity bill was. Gee. I wonder why. Me, but it's my TV. I could lend it to her. But I would like it back. ESF, smugly fine. I find the remote for my TV, unplug and pack my console stuff. I give the TV a gentle pat to thank it for its services. I know it's either going to be destroyed or I'll never get it back. At least, that's what my gut tells me as I see him still smugly looking at me. I then unplug the TV and offer it and the remote. ESF, oh, by the way, we got your sister an Apple TV. So you may be hearing their shows in the morning. He walks off. It takes me a moment to realize what he had meant. My room shares a wall with my sister's. He was going to use my TV to wake me up in the morning with those annoying kids shows. He was going to make sure the TV was on our shared wall. I forget why, but he leaves the house for a bit. I go and talk to my mom about the conversation. I plead with her to make sure I get my TV back. I plead for her to not let him bully me further and to put my TV against a different wall. Well, Bunny, we were only going to borrow the TV to keep the cost down. Besides, your sisters should get used to their own bedroom. We want them to play with their toys instead of veggieing out with the big TV. Me, Mom, that sounds like reasons why you want to borrow my TV. Please, promise me I'll get it back. I remember tearing up a bit. I don't have a lot that's mine. But the things I do have are expensive, to me. Okay sweetie. I promise that you'll get your TV back. And if he tries anything, I'll do something. She gave me a reassuring pat on the shoulder. I remember that he installed the TV not on my shared wall, which I was thankful for, but I'd often have to turn the TV down. Someone would often put the TV at max volume. Then, several months later, ESF came home with 2 new TVs. One of them was huge enough to be a living room TV. And the other one was about the size of my old TV. My eyes light up, thinking Mom somehow convinced him to give me a new TV. Since it is often that the younger sibling gets the hand-me-down and the older gets the new thing, this TV should be mine, right? No. Of course not. I watch him smugly go to my sister's room with it and set it up with the Apple TV. But that is also when I noticed my old TV is gone. I got angry. Me, wait, where's my TV? ESF, I knew it. You're so selfish op. This TV is clearly for your sister. That's why I'm setting it up here. Me, no. I don't care about this brand new one. Where's the one I let you borrow? ESF, what do you mean borrow? You told me she could have it. Besides, that shitty TV got thrown out with yesterday's trash. Good luck fishing it out of the dump. I let out a frustrated scream. I had tears pouring down my face. If you think I was too old for this kind of reaction, let me tell you, this kind of thing has happened too many times for me to count. Not the borrowing thing. But where he would say I said one thing, when I know I didn't, and then hurt me with it. My mom runs over to see me go to my room and slam the door. I started locking my room from then on. I heard them start to argue and yell at each other. But I put my headphones on and tried to block it all out. 18th birthday and graduation happened. I got a BIG TV for Christmas/graduation as well as a Wii U, which was maybe a year old but the newest console for Nintendo at the time. I remember loving both. I remember my mom knocking politely at my door a week after I got them and asking to come in. I let my mom in. We sat on the bed. She told me she figured he would pull some crap with my TV like he had been doing lately. He's done all kinds of shit all the time, but my mom was working nights and sleeping during the day. So she wasn't aware of most of it. I tell her some of the shit he did on a regular basis. We hugged. She told me that she made an ultimatum with him. If he didn't give me, his oldest daughter, a TV to replace the one he threw away, she would simply take the HIG one out of their room. The other one that was bought that day. He threw a toddler temper tantrum when she told him. Like, yelling and screaming, flailing his arms and throwing things. All because he was told to replace the TV he threw out. Apparently my toddler sister getting a TV was because it saves on bills and she deserves it. But giving me a TV to replace the one he threw away was a waste of good damn money. My mom told him something like, you asked her if you could borrow it for her sister. You have to keep your word. Just like how she gave her word and never took the TV back. His temper tantrums about this issue started the day he threw it out and replaced it, too close to Christmas when I got my new TV. Anytime my mom brought it up, he'd get angry and throw a fit. Eventually, my mom gave him another ultimatum on top of it. If you don't give her a TV to replace the one you threw out by Christmas, I'm throwing you out. And that's how I got my new TV and learned my stepdad is a toddler-level entitled parent. TLDR, entitled stepdad asks to borrow my TV to give to my toddler sister. He throws out my TV behind my back and buys my sister a new TV. My mom forces him to buy me a replacement TV and almost divorces him over it. M. Hits our neighbor with a car over fireworks. Okay, so I don't know if this woman is actually a mother. She didn't have a kid with her when this happened, but she was a crazy bitch and I thought I should tell you this. A few days before the 4th of July, out neighbors were popping off some fireworks. Innocent, right? No. I'm in the backyard, watching the fireworks from a different neighborhood. They had bigger fireworks, when I hear a voice yell, "Hey, knock it off." I think, oh, here comes a Karen. So I go back inside for a minute to do something, I don't remember, and I eventually come back out. Right as I come out, I hear screaming. I'm like, oh shit, and I go outside, fast. This bitch had swerved around and hit our neighbor with her car. Now I need to tell you, our neighbor is A-okay, he's doing perfect, no injuries. But instead of trying to get away, she keeps driving around the road. Then my dad comes outside. My dad is an heavy-set, strong, former Marine and a police officer of almost 7 years. There's no fucking around with him. So this woman nearly hits more people. Everyone knows my dad is cop, so he naturally brings order to the scene. Then the lady pulls up in front of our house. She gets out of her car, starts yelling and pointing at my dad, not sure why she wanted to confront one of the biggest guys in the neighborhood, and he's having none of her shit. He immediately grabs the woman, pins her against one of our cars, and explains how she is under arrest for disorderly conduct. She's babbling about how they can't light fireworks and that they were disrupting the peace and whatnot. Our neighbors had to call the police after my father had arrested her because he was off duty when this all happened, and you know, they need to get her to the station in an actual police car. At one point, she even yelled that she couldn't breathe, which was total bullshit. Eventually, the on-duty cops swooped by and took that Karen in. That's the story. This is my first post here and I would love to keep posting when I get more stories. Not really sure if she was a mom, but still a crazy entitled bitch who deserves this internet mockery. That's all to it, have a nice day. EP goes to native drum circle. Tells native chief to stop the event and take off his headdress because it's traumatizing her child. Background, so when my little brother was in Boy Scouts he had this best friend named Max. Max was cool but his parents are horrid. They are racist, ignorant and entitled. Sadly they also ran the local Boy Scouts. So one day the Boy Scouts have an outing. We went to the local natives reserve. I often tagged along since my mom and entitled parents are friends. That day the natives were holding a really fun drum circle / coming of age ceremony. If some of you have never gone, it's basically this. People singing, banging drums, big fire, all in all a good time. The natives start by doing the coming of age ceremony. At this ceremony the people coming of age are given chewing tobacco. Immediately EPs start yelling about how it was disgusting and young people should not be given tobacco, meanwhile they always give their much younger kids alcohol. Next the natives start singing and dancing. It's beautiful but EP does not think so. Entitled mother starts screaming that the dancing was too savage, terrifying and ungodly. Then she actually gets up and walks through the circle up to the chief. She is stopped by a nice young man who asks her to sit down. She ignored him and her eyes narrow at the chief. You need to stop all this. She waves her hands. It's scaring my kid. You are traumatizing him. This is inappropriate for kids. Take off that silly costume like you brought the 20 kids here. They did not invite you. Also, I'm sitting next to my younger brother and Max. They are both enjoying themselves and taking about Egyptian pyramids. The chief rolls his eyes and say nothing. The nice man asks her again to sit down. She starts to scream again but notices the many disapproving eyes on her. It was not just the Boy Scouts visiting the event but lots of the local community. She walks back and sits down steaming. The Boy Scouts never went back, and in a couple years the entitled parents were kicked out of Boy Scouts for cheating and emotionally abusing the kids. My aunt treats me like I'm not worth a present that was supposed to be mine. This story takes place when I was about 8/9 at the time. My mom, sister, and I were visiting my aunt and my older cousin, OC, by about a year. This is fairly important, for Christmas, and staying there for a couple of weeks. My cousin was also celebrating her birthday a little after Christmas, and so we saved some of her gifts for that party since it would be easier. After we had eaten the cupcakes and sang happy birthday, it was time for her to open her gifts, so my mom brought them out for her. She opens a gift and it was an Equestria Girl singing Pinkie Pie doll, since we all enjoyed that series and it was her favorite character. She opens the next and it was the exact same doll that was meant to be given to me for Christmas but got mixed up in there somehow. My mom goes up to her and says, "Sorry honey, that one wasn't meant for you, we just put the wrong toy in your pile of presents." OC gives the toy back. My cousin was completely fine with it, but that's when ET, entitled aunt, comes in. She grabs the toy from my mom and says she opened the toy, it's hers now. I look at my aunt and say, "But mama said that one was meant for me." My mom asks for the doll back from my aunt and picks up the wrapping paper that had the label with my name on it and says, "I specifically got these matching dolls for them to match, it's not fair if OC gets both of them." EA replies, "Well, she should have both of them since it's her birthday and she'll just keep both in case one of them breaks." At this point OC comes in trying to defuse things before it gets any worse and says, "Mom, let her have the doll. I don't even play with dolls unless they're here anyway." EA is getting loud and says, "No. You're keeping the doll." Even though OC and I were only about a year or two apart, I was a really sensitive kid, so this hit me pretty hard. It would have been fine otherwise, but at the time that was one of the worst years of my life. At this point my sister has also gotten into the conversation and my mom and EA are arguing. OC and I just go into the other room while it all plays out, trying to play with the other dolls we had gotten together. My mom eventually wins the argument and gets the doll back, but EA and my mom were mad at each other for the rest of the stay. Several years later my aunt still acts like this, but a lot worse, and last time to the point where she attacked my sister and I. Make sure to like, share, subscribe if you haven't done yet. Thanks for watching.